Thank you
Amen.
everyone for being a part of tonight's meeting. As we are going to be looking at the power of effective communication in marriage. Why do I say the power? Because the communication is the engine of every marriage. Once there's a breakdown of communication, then there is problem. As I was preparing for this meeting, I came across a quote by John Maxwell that says the purpose of communication isn't to impress your audience, is to empower your audience. So the purpose of communication is not to impress your spouse, but to empower and to impact positively on your spouse, ultimately on your marriage. And what is communication? Communication. Every relationship begins with communication. In Genesis 2:25, it said they were both naked before God and they were not ashamed. And we're going to be looking at some few scriptures that we're going to use for this message. In Ephesians 4:15, it says, speak the truth in love. I know that when we communicate in love, there's hardly any place for arguments. Most times when we say argument and we see rumblings in communication, it is because of how it was said, and which is part of what we are looking at tonight. It's not just to talk, but how it's said, when it's said, and all of that. In Colossians 3:13, say, bear with each other and forgive one another. So those are part of the communication skills we are going to be looking at today. Because communication is the engine that powers every relationship, be it marital, between your parents and their children, in your workplace. Once there is a miscommunication, there will always be a problem because people will only respond to what they understand. And until the other person understands what you are saying, you have actually not communicated. And in this part of the world, we feel that when we are talking, we are communicating. No, until your communication, the other person understands and it serves the other person's purpose, there is no communication. Every breakdown in communication leads to breakdown in relationship because relationships are about relating and relationship is communicating. So once there's a breakdown, then there's no relationship because communication is about relating. Communication is about relating. Relationship is about communication. Ineffective communication has crumbled so many relationships. Like I said, if I don't understand what you're saying, you're not reaching me, you might assume. And it's always bringing that argument. It's always bringing that argument. When you think I am listening, or you think that I heard what you said, or you think that you have communicated to me, and I don't seem to get it, then you say that I'm not listening to you. In some way, ineffective communication has crumbled so many relationships. In the same way, communication when mischanneled becomes a potential avenue for crisis in relationship. So your communication can be mischanneled because you can send the wrong reason and the wrong signal to your spouse, even to your children. The essence of life is cultivated by our level of how much we are able to interpret meaning in our lives. And communication is the feather that governs meaning. You know, like I was in a retreat last week, and one of the things we were taught about is that the gift of pain, and that nothing has a meaning without the meaning that we give it to. So when we were looking at it, that the gift of pain, can pain have a gift? Yes, pain has gifts, but that's not what we're talking about today. Why I'm bringing that in is because nothing actually has any meaning except the meaning we give it to. If somebody says you are a fool, look at yourself. Are you really a fool? You know, we fight over so many things because of assumption, and assumption is the lowest part of knowledge. Somebody says you're a fool. I tell people, when somebody says you're a fool, why are you validating what the person is saying? Are you really a fool? So nothing means any meaning except the meaning we give it to. Whatever we attach the meaning to, that is what it will be. That is why communication is very important. And communication is the melody that shapes the rhythm of our connection. There cannot be effective connection between spouses, even with their children. There is no effective communication. So effective communication is the communication that accomplishes the goal of the communication. It begins with trust, it grows with love, and it gives back to oneness and loyalty in our relationship. That is why for every relationship, the foundation of a healthy and thriving marriage is effective communication. Where if communication is not effective, no marriage can thrive and no marriage can be healthy. Quote me. Once there is a mischannel and ineffective communication, no marriage can thrive and no marriage can be healthy. So tonight we are looking at a few keys, not all the keys, that can help one to have effective communication in their marriage. And one of the keys we are looking at tonight, excuse me, is active listening. In James 1 verse 19, it says, let every person be quick to hear and slow to speak and slow to anger. So when we say active listening, what does it mean? Because one of the main bases of miscommunication is lack of active listening. And in this part of the world, most of us are not trained to listen. We train to react. We listen to react. The person has not finished making the statement. You're already concluding your mind and you're already interrupting. So, and tonight I'm not going to go into that, but active listening is a skill that every one of us needs to learn. It comes with patience. So one of the keys to effective communication is active listening. To communicate effectively begins with active listening, which includes listening with all our senses. You are paying rapt attention to what the person is saying. And this leads to focusing on the speaker, and you are being attentive to what the person, the spouse, is saying. Speak only when you have undivided attention of the listener and listening to all communication channels, which includes body language, facial expression. Like I teach children, I'm a teenage coach. One of the ways to catch their attention is when you are teaching them, look at them. Because the moment they know you are not paying attention to them, because of their short span of attention, they just begin to do something else. But to make sure they are listening to you, you are looking at them, and you go ahead to know their names, you call their names, so they pay rapt attention to you. So communication is not just that I'm talking. It involves body language, facial expression. And one of the greatest things that is contending with active listening is our phone. Your spouse is talking. In fact, you go to the airport, you'll be wondering if they came from the same house, if they are spouses or couple. They are sitting together, but everybody's on their phone. One person is scrolling, this person is... You cannot find couples discussing, having effective and healthy communication these days because of what? Mobile phone. This person is browsing. You are talking, say, hey, I'm listening, but they're looking at their phone. You are not listening. Communication cannot be effective if there is not an active listener. So we must pay attention. And to be effective, most times, please, we're talking to spouses here. Put down your phone. When I'm talking to you, I want to talk. Not that I'm calling you now that says, sit down, we need to talk. But when I'm talking to you, I need your attention. Both your facial, your expression, all your expression. It also involves asking clarifying questions. If I'm talking and you don't understand, you can ask, is this what you are saying? Your response too will help. And reflecting on what you have heard to ensure mutual understanding. You will reflect on what you have heard to ensure mutual understanding. And you cannot tell me that you are playing with your phone and hearing me at the same time. So that is part of the problem. It means listening, and not just with your ears, but with your heart as well. You are paying attention to me with your heart, as well as you attune yourself to the emotions that lie beneath the surface. If you are playing with your phone while I'm talking to you, you cannot even figure out the emotions with which I'm talking to you. And sometimes when you cannot figure out the attention, you might say, I'm shouting, or you will not understand. And that is part of what we have as ineffective mischannel or communication breakdown. Another key tonight we are looking is non-verbal communication. Non-verbal harmony emerges as the silent yet potent force that binds relationship. It's silent, but it's potent. I'm not talking, but you can know what about I'm communicating. And it binds relationship in a dance of intimacy and understanding, where you can understand me beyond words. Non-verbal communication helps to discover the transformative power of embodying and synchroning, mirroring each other's gesture, expressions, body languages, and it creates a profound sense of unity and communication, forging a profound bond of empathy. That is the transformative power of synchrony, empathy. I'm not talking, but you know what is going on. You can read me. You can know what is going on with me. This one is, if you are not close to your spouse, you cannot even understand it. I'm not talking, but I'm communicating. So we need to learn it. We need to learn how to communicate without even speaking. You need to understand how my emotions, you need to bring so much empathy to the relationship by feeling me. It has to do with you feeling. There's a connectivity, there's an intimacy, there's an emotional connectivity between us without me saying anything. Not what are you thinking? Nothing. What's going on in your mind? Nothing. And you just walk away. But this person is communicating something with silence, and you're like, if you don't want to talk, don't talk now. I'm talking to you, I'm not even answering me. No, you should be so full of empathy that you understand when, even at that point in time, maybe your spouse just needs to be alone. Maybe your spouse just needs space for that period. Maybe your spouse just needs to create an environment for themselves. You should be able to understand. Then resolving conflict with compassion. Conflict resolution refers to the process of addressing and resolving disagreement or dispute between individuals. So communication becomes very, very visible when we intentionally stamp in each other's mind. It becomes very effective. We are in each other's thoughts, we are in each other's mind. And the ultimate goal of every conflict should be winning, irrespective of the lapses. We win, not I win. So what are we saying tonight? When communication is effective, the both of us are winners. Nobody is a winner. And that is when we are effective in our communication. So we should focus on understanding the other person's perspective, not shutting down your spouse. Focus on understanding the other person's perspective. Because what a lot of girls don't realize is that I might be your spouse, but our worldview is different. Why? Because of our growth path, because of our level of awareness. So you cannot be looking at me from your level of awareness and expect me to be at your level. So what happens at this point? Try to understand the other person's perspective, seeking mutually beneficial solution. This leads to strong connection. And yeah, we say that we should avoid assumption. Don't assume anything. And don't look at everything from your perspective. Like I said, our worldview is different. And this comes with our growth path, our level of awareness. So you must try in resolving conflict in communication to look at it from your spouse's perspective. You cannot always be right. You cannot always be right. And if you have a very domineering personality, which is called choleric, most of the times you feel that your opinion is superior. It's not true. That I'm the quiet person does not mean that my opinion does not matter. So we should get to a point where we understand our spouse's personality and try to look at things from their perspective, not only from our perspective. When we are able to marry it together, then conflict will be resolved easily and there will be effective communication. It means that you have reached the other person. It's not all about you. Marriage is not one-sided. Marriage is for two. The Bible says two cannot work except they agree. Part of the problem, like I said, I'm not going into tonight of marriage, is when people think that one person do marriage. No, marriage is for two. That's not our topic tonight. Then feedback. This one is a big problem, and I'm sure if I'm going to do a survey tonight, a lot of us don't do that. Seek and welcome feedback from your spouse or partner about your communication style. Why? Because we all have blind spots. My blind spot, I don't know. It's only my spouse that can tell me.
Wow, right.
I can't see my back. Except maybe I stand in front of a mirror. So your spouse is your mirror. So once in a while, we should get feedback from our spouses about our communication styles. That will help in effective communication. Because if you can be in marriage for 20 years, I can tell you that, and your communication is not effective. Because why? You have not been able to reach your spouse. And maybe one of them just decides to, okay, I'm just here. We all have blind spots, like I said, but open, constructive criticism is an opportunity to grow. What did I say? Open, constructive criticism. I tell people, I say my husband number one fan and is my number one critic. But he's my number one fan. But when I came to understand that his criticism is not to bring me down, but to make me a better person, I gradually started accepting. So there should be feedback. How is my communication style? That's where you know that you are reaching your spouse. You are not just, because part of them, I'm talking, you are not hearing. You are too stubborn. I'm talking again, no, you are not hearing because you are not effective in your communication. So I'm not hearing anything. You are not effective in your communication. So I am not hearing anything. You are not effective in your communication, so I am not hearing anything. So we should all ask for feedback from our spouses once in a while. That how is my communication style? Do you think I am effective? Do you think I reach you when I'm talking to you? This is not common practice, but we should learn to ask for feedback. Then another key I want to talk about is create a safe and not judgmental environment. And this one, I would not say I'm addressing my gender, but it is one thing that I think make men resist us when we are talking, because the moment a spouse feels judged, then there's already a breakdown in communication. Establish a safe and non-judgmental environment where both parties feel comfortable expressing their thoughts and feelings. And that is one privilege I have in my marriage. I'm very, very free to express myself. But when you are in a situation where you are being judged or in a judgmental environment, most people don't talk. And that is where there's communication breakdown, because you feel that everything that comes out of your mouth, you will be judged. So their thoughts and feelings, encourage open dialogue by listening attentively, maintaining eye contact, and showing empathy and understanding. So let's create that safe space where our spouses can express themselves without being judged. And you nag too much. You nag too much. I've been talking to you. You will not understand. They're always, so let's allow our spouses to be able to express themselves. Try to understand where they are coming from. Show some empathy. Show some understanding. Not some. Always show empathy and understanding. Create that safe space for your spouse. Focus on the issues and not personal attack. Sometimes when there is an issue and we are having a conversation, sometimes we tend to move from the issue and we attack our spouses. It's not correct. If there is an issue, focus on that issue and deal with the issue. Don't attack your spouse personally. So let's create that space, safe space where everybody can express themselves without being judged, without being attacked, rather than dealing with the issue. It is very, very important for us to have effective communication in our marriages. Be empathic. Empathy is paramount for effective communication. And what is empathy? The ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. I'll tell people, as humans, we always judge others, but we show ourselves love and empathy. If I make a mistake now, and you are trying to tell me that you didn't do this, I can conveniently and I'll tell you that it's a mistake now, I made a mistake. But if your spouse make a mistake, you won't see it as a mistake. You will hold on to that their mistake. Why? Because we are quick to judge others, but we are empathic to ourselves. So that same empathy that you show yourselves, please show your spouse. When it is a mistake, see it as a mistake. Don't read any other meaning to it and don't go back to Genesis. Hey, you're always doing this, you're always doing this, you're always doing no. Let's show empathy to our spouses. It entails the capacity to perceive and comprehend the emotions of your partner. The capacity to perceive and comprehend the emotions of your partner. And please, 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 your words should encourage and not to bring down. Sometimes we say words that will bring down the surface thing. I was reading a story recently of one was a teenager that committed suicide because of the school and her mother. I don't want to go too much into it, but one of the reasons that young girl committed suicide was because of her mother brought down her self-esteem. In school, the same thing. And she took her life and she left a note for the mother that, thank you for your love and your support, but this, I can't deal again. So please, our words should build, it should not bring down. Sometimes we think that we're talking to our partners, we're talking to our spouses, we are communicating, we're encouraging them. But our words are like, they pierce. The Hebrews 4:12, we say piercing through the marrow and the bone. They pierce to the soul of the person. It shouldn't be. A harmonious and selfless relationship is attainable when couples enhance their empathic abilities through communication exercises. Put yourself in the other person's shoes, always. If we're able to put ourselves in our partner's shoes, we will do better. We will not read meaning to what they are saying. Please put yourself in the other person's shoes and genuinely try to understand their perspective. Genuinely try to. That's why I said our worldview is different. Our worldview is different. So genuinely try to understand their perspective, then validate their feelings. You have a spouse that you feel is too emotional, or you don't even understand what they are saying. They are bringing in one kind of argument. Please first validate their, hey, you're always like that. Hey, I've not said anything now. They're just, no, now. They are human. We are humans. First validate, even if you don't agree with what I'm going to say, please validate your spouse's feelings. Why? And their experiences. Validation does, like I said, it does not necessarily mean that you agree. Show empathy through comforting gesture. If it means hugging the person, okay, it's enough. Hug them. Hug your partner, hold hands, just sit next to them. And sometimes you don't have to say anything. Just say, I don't know who I was with recently, and the person was just, I was just patting, it's a female, I was just patting the person on the back. I said, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, calm down. And she was so comforted. At that point in time, when you feel that their feelings are going haywire, it's not the time to start judging. It's not the time to show some love, be empathic, understand validate their feelings, empathize with them. Please, their experiences. understand from their perspective. I know that where you are coming from, probably you are the CEO, you have done so many things, your growth path, and the other person is not at your level, but he or she is your spouse. And I tell people, whether you are the CEO or wherever you are, whether female or male, please, when you are stepping into the door of your house, hang that your title, hang it outside. Pastor, hang your title. Come in and marry your spouse. Be the wife. Be the husband. At home, you are not a pastor. At home, you are not CEO. You are my husband. You are my wife. And there's this proverb in Warri that says, any man when Cosmo picking wife, they don't turn to age mate. As long as we are in this marriage together, please, when you are coming, leave that title outside. Then respect boundaries. I know we are spouses, but sometimes respect each other's boundaries when practicing communication skills. If the other person needs space or time to process their thoughts, respect and please, as long as they return to the discussion in a timely manner. If there is an argument, there's a problem, and right now I don't feel like talking, please accept it. Because sometimes the argument is so heated or something is so going on my mind and I can't deal. I can't deal. But please, when you are creating the boundary at that point in time, make it timely. Don't keep the other person waiting unending. Setting and respecting boundaries creates an environment of mutual respect and trust. Mutual respect and trust. I'm emphasizing on mutual respect. As spouses, as partners, we should have mutual respect for one another. There is no superiority in marriage. Fine, the Bible says the husband is the head of the family. It doesn't mean you are superior. In everything God has created in this world, there is order. And that is why the man is the head. And nobody is disputing that. But respect should be mutual. So that there is order and everybody is safe. And you build trust. If you respect me, it's easy for me to trust you. But when you don't respect me, it is very difficult for me to trust you. Because I don't know the next thing you are going to do. So as we create that safe boundary in our relationship, please, it will help us to build that mutual respect for one another and trust for one another. But please, especially for my gender, when you are creating the boundary, make it timely. Let it not be forever. And for those of us that will fast for 7 days, when the man wants to come and say, I'm fasting, I'm not talking about that tonight, but please, everything should be timely. Then be vulnerable. Some of our men, they think they're being tough and carrying all the burden on your head is what makes you the man. No. We are in this marriage together. So let us be vulnerable. Being open and honest requires vulnerability. Yeah, for us to be open and honest, it requires vulnerability. And that is where that's another place to build trust. Share your thoughts, your emotions. Honesty, even if it feels uncomfortable. I remember a story I read of a man that cheated on his wife, and the side chick at his stage, when the man said he was no longer doing, started blackmailing the husband and threatening that he's going to. And one day the guy got tired and went home and told the wife, I'm sorry. It's not saying we and said it, but it took him time, but he had to open up that vulnerability. Of course, it was a real shock. Okay, there was another one I saw today online. The woman was looking for advice. What happened? The man is caring, is loving, is understanding, is there, is everything every woman wants in a man according to the criteria. But she just found out that he cheated on her. And she was asking, what can she do? So what am I saying? Let's be vulnerable to each other. Share your thoughts, your emotion, honesty. If you feel uncomfortable, share it. Expressing vulnerability can facilitate deeper connections and encourage the other person to reciprocate. If you are vulnerable to me, it will encourage me to be vulnerable to you. Men, be vulnerable to your wife, creating a safe space for open communication. Be vulnerable. The world out there is so hard on its own. It's so hard on its own that you are now coming home to come and do a tough man, a hard man. You will break. When you need to let down your head and to talk to your wife. Women, to be vulnerable. It helps to build intimacy. It helps in effective communication. So these are some of the effective keys we must learn to help in building, because communication is the engine of every marriage. When there's a communication breakdown, then that marriage is already broken down. That's why we are looking at it today, that we should, and we started by active listening, the ability to listen. Let phone not be listening to your conversation. Your spouse is speaking and your phone, you say, I'm listening, you are not listening. Non-verbal communication, we should be able to communicate with each other, with our gesture, with our body languages. Then we should be able to resolve conflict effectively. And like I said, avoid assumption. Avoid assumption. Avoid assumption. And it should be at the back of our mind. Every conflict should be, we win, not I win. Not I win. Every time you put up an argument and you are in that space where I must win this argument, this conversation, you just know that you are drifting apart. Ultimately, we win. Then feedback. We should learn to ask our spouses that, how is my communication style? Am I able to reach you? This is not common. Even me, I'm learning it. Am I able to reach you? Am I able to reach you? We should be empathic to our spouses. Show some love, show some understanding. Understand their perspective, their emotions, validate their feelings, respect boundaries. Respect boundaries. But like I said, your boundaries should be timely and attack issues, not the person. Let us create a safe space that is not judgmental, and let us be vulnerable. Be vulnerable to your spouse. Be vulnerable to your spouse. In fact, in Nigeria right now, if you're not vulnerable with your spouse, you just be taking high blood pressure pill, because it's very tough outside. And don't make it hard at home or tougher at home. In conclusion tonight, what I was saying, paying attention to verbal and non-verbal cues helps comprehend each other's emotional needs. When we pay attention to both verbal and non-verbal needs, it helps to comprehend each other's emotional needs. Verbal affirmation is tailored to each partner's love language. Encouraging open and honest communication builds trust and intimacy, allowing for vulnerability and deeper emotional bonds. Demonstrating empathy and understanding, even during disagreements. We can disagree to agree. We don't always have to disagree and grow apart. We can always disagree to agree. If I don't understand what you're saying, or your opinion is different from mine, we can come to a place where we agree. Okay, we have disagreed, but we can still agree. So sometimes disagreements pull couples apart. No, we can disagree to agree. I should be able to express myself. Okay, I don't like it the way you said it. I don't like the way you are doing it. Can we do it this way? And we come to a place of an agreement. And this demonstrating empathy and understanding, even during disagreement, reinforces and establishes love and respect. By combining these keys, we can nurture a strong and enduring relationships. And I'm going to talk briefly about forgiveness and understanding. Please, let's let go of grudges and resentments. A lot of times, maybe your spouses have cheated on you or one thing or the other. Please, let's learn to forgive. And there is a research ongoing that one of the major causes of cancer, especially in women, is unforgiveness, bitterness, and resentment. Those things are cancerous. Please, irrespective of what has happened, find a place. That's why Colossians 3:13 says, bear with each other and forgive one another. Don't allow somebody else's mistake to cost you your life. Somebody has made a mistake. He cheated on you. He did what he's not supposed to do. She did what she's not supposed to do. And you are now allowing that person's mistake to cost you your life. That's foolishness. You might say, you will not forgive. You are dying silently. You are dying silently. I don't know who this word is for tonight. Please let go and let God. Let go and let go. Don't allow another, like you say, bitterness is taking poison and expecting the other person to die. Unforgiveness kills. Bitterness kills. Resentment kills. Please, let's let go of the grudges and resentment. Free your mind. It is difficult, but it's possible. It is difficult, but it is possible. Especially when you come. You see, what I learned recently, excuse me, every time we will say, by the grace of God, but we need to take a decision. The three Hebrew boys, I was discussing with my husband yesterday, they said, even if our God will not save us, we will not, but they took a decision. They made a decision, and their decision brought grace, and they were delivered. So if you are thinking that forgiveness is difficult, it only desire and it requires just a decision. I am going to forgive. I am going to let go. You will find out that the moment you take that decision, the grace to do it comes on you. Remember, building better connections through communication takes practice and effort. It's not automatic, especially if you are not used to active listening. If everybody is their gadget and their phone is their first call, you know, a lot of us, when we wake up in the morning, the first thing we pick up is our phone. I don't want to go to that one today. Please, if you have not used to feedback, if you are not used to being vulnerable, it takes practice, it takes effort, and it takes patience. But incorporating these keys and strategies into your communication approach can enhance your relationships, foster meaningful connection, nurture a strong and enduring relationship. Finally, prayer and reflection. Seek divine guidance and reflect on your communication. The Bible says in 1 Thessalonians 5:17 that we should pray without ceasing. Prayer. If everything I've said tonight, your spouse, I was telling somebody recently, and I was in a counseling session, I said there is nothing prayer cannot do. And some people say, is everything prayer? They don't understand. Everything is prayer. Everything for you to be effective is prayer. So let's pray. Let's seek divine guidance, especially that is the cocoa, yes. Especially if you are finding it very, very difficult. Do you know that for some of you that think that my spouse, my husband doesn't talk, you can use prayer to open their mouth too. Just DM me later and ask me why. You can use prayer to make that person to talk. Prayer is it. So with this, like I said, finally, prayer and reflection. Let's seek divine guidance and reflect on our communication. Seek divine guidance and ask God. Everywhere you think you're falling short, the spouse is falling short, pray them up. Pray yourself up. And it will be well with that marriage. And the engine of your marriage shall continue to stand. It will not shake, it will not rock, it will not crumble, it will not break. and your marriage will continue to thrive and be healthy for as long as you are together in Jesus' name.